I'm back. Hello, and welcome back to the weekly crypto review. So, it's been a couple of weeks, partially because of what's been going on in the market, which is sideways, and partially because of my own personal schedule. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, and I mean that in the Chinese curse sort of way. Anyway, so let's see what we've got here. First off, down in the description, you'll find a link to the Brave browser. If you use that link and you download and use Brave browser for 30 days, you get a really good browser and I get a little bit of BAT. It's a deal for both of us. Let's go ahead and take a look at charts. First off, we've got the price overview for the various currencies. And a couple of things I noticed. One, earlier, like yesterday, Cardano was number 10 and Tezos was number 11. These two are fighting back and forth for 10th place, for 10th largest, by market cap, 10th largest crypto. That's a good thing as I see it, because when we look at the market cap, they're only off by $20 million. And when we're talking about $2.1 billion, $20 million is not a whole lot. One of the things you have to keep in mind about cryptocurrency in general is that numbers are relative, amounts are relative. Bitcoin only has 21 million coins. On the other hand, Cardano, I want to say, has something like 45 billion coins total. Everything is going to be relative when you start looking at different coins and what they're doing. On the plus side, over the last 7 days, we have seen quite a bit of activity. Bitcoin is up almost 2% over the last week. Ethereum's up over 2% for the last week. And then we look down here a little farther at, let's see here, EOS, up almost 3%. Tezos is up 0.1%. And Cardano is down over 3%, which is why it fell back down, I believe, why it fell back down to 11th place. And if we look down here a little farther, we find Chainlink, which is down just under a third of a percent. And Stellar down almost 3.25%. This is the volatility that we as crypto investors, crypto traders, thrive on, because volatile assets is where you make the most money. Let's face it, if an asset is going up steadily, you're going to make money. Assuming that you have bet long on it, you're going to make money. But it's going to be slowly. If you've got an asset that has a lot of volatility, high jumps and high dips, high jumps and low dips, big jumps, either direction, that's where a trader can make a lot of money very quickly. So let's take a look at the actual chart. And as usual, I've got the weekly chart up. Last time I talked to you, I want to say that it was this week, and I had looked at these 3 weeks here. This is a spinning top, which can be an indication of reversal. And these two here create a bearish engulfing pattern, which is a definite indication of a bearish market. And then we had last week, actually the week after that, 2 weeks ago, where the market recovered and no issues, no problems. That seems odd. Then there was last week, which also went up, not as much. Over the same amount of time, it did not go up as much as the week before. Okay, and we also have slowing volume. I mean, we had a little more volume last week than we did the week before. Okay, so we have more people buying and selling, yet the price went up less. That also is an indication of indecision and potentially bears taking control. I'm not trying to harsh anybody's mellow. I really would like to see Bitcoin go up over and stay over $10,000. The problem is we have these lines of resistance. We've got this one, which is all of these actually are from 2017, but this is the one from the top of the market in 2017, the end of 2017. And so it's going to be the most difficult. And if I scroll out here a little bit, the reason I want to do this, I want to show you how I'm drawing these lines. You will see some people who just draw their lines haphazardly, and you'll see they'll start here at the top of what they call a wick. It's really called a shadow. And then as they come down, they'll come down along the real body, the candle part of the candle. And so it'll be a much steeper decline. The problem is you're mixing how you're running your lines. If you're going to make your lines, if you're going to start with the top of the wick or the shadow, you need to go to the top of the shadow where it touches. Same with if you're going to do it at the body. You need to go from body to body. It doesn't matter which one you do as long as you're consistent. If you're inconsistent, and I hate to say it, but I was watching Data Dash's video yesterday and saw 3 lines, and they're all but the top one were inconsistent. All 3 lines went from this point here at the top of the wick, and 2 of them came down to the body. The lowest one came down to the body. The middle one came down somewhere through the middle of these shadows, and then the top one was what I consider the appropriate one, which is this one here. Went from the top of the wick to the top of the wick and extended down to show us what is actually going to happen. If you're going to chart, you need to chart consistently. I try, when I do a descending line or an ascending line like this, I try to go from the top of the wick or the bottom of the wick, the shadow. I want to get the entire candle in there, because where it stops, either on the upside or the downside, is really where the resistance or support is, if you think about it. Now, let's go ahead and go back in here and go back to what I was showing you, which is we've got this line of resistance, this green line of resistance. We have a green line of support here. We have come close to it here when we had that big massive drop in March, but we still did not drop all the way down. And if you look at the RSI down here at the bottom, we never actually went down to oversold. It came close. Let's see, what's the RSI? It was like 33.39 down here. So we didn't drop below 30. It never got to the oversold. Okay, and we've got overbought here where the lines are up above the purple. Oversold would be down below where the purple is. We never actually dropped that low. This is a really good dip to buy if you happen to be able to do so. And since then, we have gone up pretty steadily. Now, for the past 4-5 weeks, we've gone sideways. Are we building a base to jump up, to break out from, or are we hitting resistance and running along this resistance line until we drop further? At this point, any answer I give you is a guess. I believe we're going to run along this resistance line until we pop up. And once we close, once we have, and this is the weekly chart, always remember I'm looking at the weekly chart. Once we have a candle closing above this line, where we get a green candle up through, and then either, it doesn't matter whether it's a red or a green candle, it really doesn't. As long as the close is up above this line. If it's a green candle, I'd like to see an open and a close above this line. But if it's a red candle, as long as it closes above this red line, because that by definition, it would have to open above. So we get a whole candle, a full body above this green line. That's where I see us turning this line of resistance into a line of support. Once we do that, then we can start looking at, okay, 10,500, which is the next line of resistance. And if you'll notice, it's only been a few weeks since these lines crossed. There hasn't been a whole lot of room between these two lines to move. So of course the price hasn't gone up here yet. At this point, we're looking at, I don't know, let's see if we can get a price up here. So about $10,000 to 10. So we're looking at about $500 of movement if it goes up here this week. Next week, if we bring it down, we're looking at 9,800, 99, so it's a little about 600. So we're moving, this line drops about $100 per week. So as we go, the further into the future we go, the more room we have between these lines of resistance to build up. Now, it's very possible that something comes along, some event happens, and everybody starts buying and it just jumps up above this blue line. That could happen. Absolutely, that could happen. We have seen that happen before, where it just jumps up. This is last year. This is about a year ago. It did that. It jumped way up, and then it bounced up and down between these two lines, okay, this became support, and this remained resistance until it dropped down below this support and became resistance again. Okay, and resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, and now again, resistance here. Last week we did get a shadow up to the 10,500 point, but really this line here is where the body is, and it's acting as resistance for the body. So the farther along into the summer we get, the more room we're going to have between these lines for the price to move. If we can get a couple of $100 more, maybe $1,000 between this line and this line, then we'll have enough room to maneuver for the price action to do something of interest. And that's when I think we're going to see, assuming it doesn't blast through both these at the same time, because they're so close together, it could. But if it doesn't, if we go out here a few more weeks before we come up here and make this line support, I suspect what we're going to see is this becomes support, this becomes resistance, and we play this for a few weeks at least, just like it is over here. We're going to bounce between these two lines. And then once we get above this line, we could do the same thing up here, bounce between these two lines. Okay, we could be, and this line is at 11.5. So we've got resistance at 10.5 and resistance at 11.5. And again, these go back all the way to 2017. I can't say for sure, no one can say for sure what's going to happen. All I can do is draw the lines and say, here's some resistance that we need to overcome. Once we do, when we make these support, the chances of price going up greatly increases. Until that happens, we're going to be stuck in this loop that we have been in for the past year, really, since last July. At this point, it looks like we're trying to break out. I hope we do. I would really love to see a breakout in the next week or two. If we did it this week, it would be okay, because again, we could bounce back and forth between these lines, or even possibly go up above 10.5 and stay there. Make 10.5 the support line. That would be fantastic. That would look really good to new investors. And really, that's what we're talking about, is we want the price to move up at a rate that looks good, looks appealing to new investors, and for that matter, appealing to old investors as well. If the price is moving up, it's appealing to the masses. And at this point, we're just going sideways. We're literally going sideways, and we have been for the past 5 weeks. If we continue to do this, we're going to be pushed down by this resistance. We need to break through this resistance. Once we can do that, then we'll start working our way back up a little higher, a little higher. I don't expect to revisit $20,000 until at least the end of this year, possibly next year at some point. But next year is the year where we're going to see blue sky prices, and literally the sky is the limit as far as how high can it go. And we will see those prices go up. Near the end of the bubble, we're going to see those prices go up massively, doubling every week. Absolutely, we're going to see that. Anyway, not a whole lot to talk about, because honestly, the price is not doing a whole lot. The most fascinating, the most interesting thing I've seen the last couple of weeks is that Cardano is going up massively. A few weeks ago, it was at 4 cents a coin. Now it's at 8 cents. It's doubled. Fantastic. And yes, I own both Bitcoin and Cardano. And as always, none of this is in any way financial advice. I'm just reading the charts. I'm simply telling you what I see in the charts. Cardano is dropping a little bit this week, and that's actually a good sign. It needs to drop down and consolidate, and then it'll move back up. This one is going to be interesting to see. If Cardano can bring out their main net as they have planned, the end of this month, beginning of next month, if their main net comes out and Ethereum is still working on Ethereum 2.0, and especially if they miss their target, I mean, they've been pushing their target back for Ethereum 2.0 farther and farther. Beginning of the year, they were saying third quarter this year. Now they're not even saying that. If Cardano can bring out their main net, which has distributed proof of stake, among other things, I can see a lot of people not only investing in Cardano, but also moving away from Ethereum and towards Cardano, especially once they get I believe it's Byron, which is their smart contract process up. Once you can write smart contracts and on the mainnet, now you've got a competitor for Ethereum. And the fact that it's already got distributed proof of stake makes it very viable, extremely viable. At that point, I absolutely can see it becoming a rival. I'm not going to say it's an Ethereum killer, certainly a rival. And that's one of the reasons why I invested in Cardano in the first place when I did, is because I saw it as having the potential to out Ethereum. It's been 3 years now? Yeah, 3 years. Not a whole lot's happened, at least not publicly. Behind the scenes, a massive amount has happened. If you're interested in Cardano, you need to start following Charles Huskinson and watching his videos. He puts out a lot of videos from both his home and his office just north of here, up in Longmont. And I've talked to him several times. I agree with his basis, his basic ideas of what and how. And I think that it's going in the short term, it takes a lot of time to get things up and running. But in the long run, I think it's going to be a huge benefit to Cardano. Anyway, I am far past the 10 minutes I wanted to be doing this video. So I will let you go. Right now, Cardano is jumping up. That's great. I want to see it. I want to see it come down a little bit and build a base and then continue up. Bitcoin, we're moving sideways. We're bumping up against this resistance line. Once we can get above that resistance and stay up there, then this resistance is no longer valid, and now it's onto the other lines, the blue and the yellow line. Hopefully they don't make too much resistance. I mean, this line has been massive resistance for 3 years now. I'm hoping these two other lines are less so, but we'll see. Remember, don't trust, verify. We'll see you next week.